How do Mime Artists, and welcome to the last part of this series, going over every single card that is going to be in the Burning Shadows set, released August 4th. I'm excited, you're surely excited, these are exciting times. So this is just coming out a little bit after the pre-releases, a couple of days after, so some of you might have already seen some of these GXs, some of you might already have some of these GXs, but this is a comprehensive and fast list, just going through all of the GXs that are coming out in this new set. So the first one here, going alphabetically as you can expect, is a Alolan Muck GX, and this is one I am quite hyped for. This one, from what I can hear, is just killing it in the pre-releases. If you're going to get any GX, it seems like you want to get a Alolan Muck GX, as that is doing wonders, absolute wonders, because HP 220. For the stage 1, that's about average. That's pretty much what you expect, if on the slightly higher end. Then for a darkness and 2 colourless, you've got Chemical Breath, 10 damage, but this attack does 70 more damage for each special condition affecting your opponent's active Pokemon. That is not too shabby. If it's just confused, if it's just poisoned, if it's just burned, that's going to do 80. If there's confusion and burn, or there's poison and sleep, that's going to be doing 150. Not bad for just a DCE and a dark. I know for the pre-releases there won't be DCEs, but once it comes around, the rotation has happened and the leagues start up again, then it will not be too shabby of a card. That's just the first attack. Second one, 2 darkness, 2 colourless, or 1 DCE, crunch 120 damage, discard 1 energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. It's not bad. It's a pretty solid attack if you've not got any special conditions going on to the other one. It's not too shabby. 120, and discard any energy. So that could be a DCE, it could be a special energy. Any energy you desire. Then the GX attack, which needs absolutely no energy whatsoever. Try Hazard GX. Choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, switch it with their active Pokemon. The new active Pokemon is now poisoned, burned, and paralyzed. Not bad. If you use this, you bring out something along the lines of a Lycanroc GX, something like that. Any GX you like. This could do next turn with Chemical Breath a full 220 damage. That would knock out an Alolan Muck. That is not bad in the slightest. In the slightest. Absolutely fantastic. Wonderful card. Very hyped for this one. I'm hoping to get it in the next pre-release I go to. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this one is doing well. Then we've got Charizard going up the list. This is one you've probably heard about, you've probably seen this one. It's seeming like it's going to be the DCE or the Ultra Ball of this set. From what I can see, early predictions put it at around $80 to $90, or about 70 to 75 pounds. Wow, not bad in the slightest. Probably one of the most expensive Pokemon we've seen since Charizard. From the last set in XY, it was something to do with fire or burning. I forget the name. I'll probably put it up when I remember and edit this video. But for 3 colourless, you've got Wing Attack, 70 damage, which is fine. If you use a Kiawe, you're going to get 4 fire energy onto this, and that's 70 damage, while you're still piling on more and more energy. Then for 3 fire and 2 colourless, you've got Crimson Storm, 300 damage, discard 3 energy, 3 fire energy from this Pokemon. So that could be 3 fire and a DCE, that could be 5 fire, and then you could just Kiawe next turn, then the turn after that you can attack with this again, and that's going to knock out any Pokemon. That's going to knock out any stage 1 that's got the bodybuilding dumbbells or the muscular dumbbells. That's going to knock out basic Pokemon that have got Fighting Fury belts. This is going to knock out almost anything. Then the GX attack, which I'm sure you will have heard of and you might be excited / scared to encounter, for 1 fire and 1 DCE or 2 other colourless. Discard the top 10 cards from your opponent's deck. Top 10 cards! Top 10 cards! That can deck someone out. Once they've got 10 cards left, they've got 9 cards left, you throw this out, you have won the game. Doesn't matter if they've got 6 prize cards left, they've got 1 prize card left, you have won. Of course, as you'd expect, weakness to water, HP 250, don't know if I remember to add that. It's a really high HP, one of the highest we've seen, on the par with Metagross, Lunala, Solgaleo, those types, all the stage 2s you'd expect to find being really high HP. After that is Darkrai, 180 HP, ability Resurrection. Once during your turn, if this card's in your discard pile, you may play this card to your bench and attach 1 dark energy from your discard pile to this card. Not shabby. If you remember, the Resurrection Ho-Oh, or Rebirth Ho-Oh I think it was called, did something relatively similar. That one, I think you got a little bit more energy, was very good in Rainbow Road, I think it was the name of that deck. This is not too shabby, even though possibly going to be a little bit better and expanded, where you've got battle compressors, other things where you're able to get stuff in your discard a little bit more easily. You can always Ultra Ball to get it away, you can Sycamore to get it away. There are a couple of things that you can do to get this in your discard pile that aren't just having it getting knocked out. Another one that is incredibly exciting to see, and this one is probably going to be the second most expensive card that we see in this deck. Certainly the second most expensive Pokemon we see in this set. The attacks themselves, for 2 dark, 1 colourless, you've got Dark Rift, 130 damage. This attack's damage isn't affected by resistance. So it's a good straight up normal attack, has very little effect really, it's just 130 for 3 energy, your basic normal attack. Then for its GX attack, if your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by a special condition, that Pokemon is now knocked out. So as we just saw with Alolan Muck, a lot of Pokemon in this set have a lot of condition affecting attacks. Some of them will confuse, some of them will poison. There are a lot of condition affecting attacks in this set, and it's for this Darkrai GX attack, and it's for the Alolan Muck. So this, any Pokemon's knocked out, it's just a 1-hit KO of an attack, which is not too shabby to see. They just have to be affected by a special condition. So run something along the lines of Alolan Grimer, I think, has them. A lot of other ones have them. Run something like that. Put something like a float stone to it, retreat it back out. Darkrai GX, Dead End GX attack, and that can be anything gone. That can be high, that can be like a Charizard, while your opponent's attaching a lot of energy to it. You stick this out, as long as there's a special condition on it, that is that, completely knocked out. Next up, Gardevoir, another one that's getting quite a lot of attention. 230 HP, which is still quite a lot, a little bit less than some of the other stage 2s, but is by no means something to be sniffed at. The ability Secret Scent, once during your turn you may attach 1 fairy energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon, which isn't shabby. That way you can attach 2 energy per turn, and this one's quite good as it's got quite like I think it was the Mega Mewtwo attack, has infinite force, 30 times damage. This attack does 30 times the amount of damage attached to both active Pokemon. So you can be doing 60 each turn for yourself. Your opponent's also adding energy pretty much every single turn. You can be adding 2 with this one, which is not shabby in the slightest. This one doesn't even need to be in your active for the ability to work. Just says once during your turn you may attach energy to any of your Pokemon. That can be the one that's in the active slot, so you can attach 2 to the active. This is quite a good tech, as well as being a very good fighting card. Then for another fairy, Twilight GX, pretty much just the exact opposite of the Charizard GX attack. Search your discard pile for 10 cards, show them to your opponent and shuffle them back into your deck. Any 10 cards you like, doesn't have to be the top 10, doesn't have to be the bottom 10, doesn't have to be the middle 10, can be any 10. You choose, and this is another way to get back some of those supporters that you might be needing now that VS Secret is going to be rotating. Quite a good GX attack. It's good if you're close to decking yourself out, can just be helpful to have another way to fight on, hoping for the win. Then Golisopod GX, 210 HP, which again, quite alright for a stage 1, not too shabby, not the best, not the worst, but relatively not shabby. Then for 1 grass first impression, the attack that a lot of people are talking about, especially when you add it in with Guzma. 30 damage, and this attack does 90 more damage if this Pokemon became your active Pokemon during this turn. 120 damage, 1 grass energy. That is an easy attack to pull off. Having a couple of these in your deck, couple of Golisopod GXs, very easy to do. Running 4 Guzmas in your deck, full quad Golisopod could be done quite easily. Then for the grass and 2 colourless, you've got Armour Press. 100 damage during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon takes 20 less damage from your opponent's attack. So kind of like the old Golisopod, which had the armour ability that did 30 less. This is quite a good Armour Press. It's 100 damage, which is fine, it's just the grass and the DCE. So if you're not able to retreat out from the Golisopod to something else or into another Golisopod, you can run this. Does 100 damage, it's only 20 less than what first impression would be doing. Then for its GX attack, 1 grass and a DCE, you've got Cross and Cut, 150 damage. Switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So another way just to switch out your Golisopods, have them changing every single turn as much as possible. Then you've got Ho-Oh GX, 150 HP. This one looks fantastic. As you can see, the full art is possibly one of the nicest full arts in this set. Alolan Muck, not too shabby as well. But this one isn't probably going to see too much play. It's not overly the best. You've got for 1 fire and a DCE Sacred Fire. This attack does 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Any of them, could be on the bench, could be the active, wherever you like it to be. You've got 3 fire, 1 colourless. For Phoenix Burn, 180 damage. This Pokemon can't use Phoenix Burn during your next turn. So it's very similar to the Lapras attack. It's a little bit similar to, I think it was the Alolan Ninetales GX, where it couldn't attack next turn, or discard a couple of energy, I forget. Those 2 cards, Lapras saw a little bit of play with some float stones and such, but I can't see this Ho-Oh getting that much play. Then for 1 fire and the DCE, Eternal Flame GX, put 3 in combination of Fire Pokemon EX or GX from your discard pile onto your bench. Again, it's somewhat good, but it's a little bit gimmicky in a sense, because it can be any Pokemon EX or GX, so you could evolve straight up to a Charizard GX if it's in your discard pile. That way you don't need to go through the laborious process. But to do that, you need to have the Eternal Flame, you need to have Ho-Oh in the active, you need to have the Charizard in the discard. It seems like a lot of steps for something that probably won't work too often. It's quite nice, it's a nice thought to have, but would be quite hard to pull off, especially when quite a few of the fire types are somewhat difficult to attach energy to. A lot of them take a lot, and I know there's now Kiawe, but that ends your turn. I can't see this getting that much play. When there are a lot of other very good fire types, you've still got Volcanion seeing a lot of play. You'll see Turntonators every now and again in a couple of different decks. Charizard may see a little bit for the GX and just how powerful Crimson Infinity or Crimson Tide, whatever the name of that attack is. I'm not sure how much play Ho-Oh will see, although it is a very beautiful card. Then Lycanroc GX, this is one we've seen before. I think it was just one of the earliest promos. So this one, it's the Accelerock, it's not the Blood Eyes Lycanroc GX. I'm sure you'll have seen it before. You might have battled with it or against it before, so I won't go over it in any great capacity. It'll all be on the screen, all of the information, but I won't go over it as I'm sure you'll have seen it, possibly used it. Then we've got Machamp GX, fighting, 250 HP again, another stage 2. For 2 fighting, you've got Crosscut, 60 plus damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is an evolution Pokemon, this attack does 60 more damage. Not too shabby, 120 for 2 fighting. If you're using strong energy, it goes up to 140. If you're using 2 strong, 160. which is fine. It's quite a lot for just a couple, although you do need 2 strong energies attached to this. It seems okay for an attack, it's quite fine, but I'm not sure how much Machamp is going to see of play. Fighting energies, fighting decks I don't think seeing that much play. Zygarde is seeing a little bit, Zygarde EX, but to be honest, I don't know how good this is going to be. Certainly when you've got Marshadow in this same deck, that's also a fighting type that will see quite a lot of play, especially in Expanded, but that coming up next. Then for 3 fighting, Bedrock Breaker, 130 damage, discard any stadium card in play. Again, another normal attack, seems quite fine, isn't too shabby. Then for 3 fighting, Muscle Punch GX, 180 damage, this attack's damage isn't affected by resistance. As far as GX attacks go, not the best. This isn't going to knock out most GXs, it'll knock out some EXs, it's not the best. But it's fine. It's if you're in a very tight spot and you can't just do the 130, maybe you've already used a crosscut against it and the 130 won't take it out, you could always use this, see what happens if you're in a very tight spot, but I don't think Machamp will see too much play. Then Marshadow, 150 HP, pretty much the baby of these GXs. The ability Shadow Hunt, this Pokemon can use the attacks of basic Pokemon in your discard pile. That can go for any basic Pokemon, so a lot of people are talking about and murmuring in the winds about Night March coming back, using Marshadow in Night March, getting all of those 12 Pokemon in your discard by some very nefarious means, using Battle Compressors, using Ultra Balls, using whatever you can use just to get rid of them, then using Marshadow for the Night March, which will probably be a great annoyance to those in Expanded. In Standard, this may not see too much play, maybe a little bit, as it's nice, it's quite an okay one. 2 fighting and a colourless beatdown, 120 damage, straight up normal attack of about 120 that you see in quite a lot of these Pokemon. Then it's GX attacks, Peerless, 100 blows, 50 times damage. This attack does 50 damage times the number of the basic energy attached to this Pokemon. So you know, it's quite normal. It's somewhat a little bit more powerful than Tapu Lele's energy drive, I think it is, but probably won't be used that much, especially for the GX attack when there are a lot more and a lot better GX attacks out there. Then we have Necrozma, another one that has people quite excited, especially for its ability, Light's End, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from colourless Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. So that's stuff like Oranguru, that's Drampa, that's Beware. All of the colourless Pokemon cannot do any damage done to that Pokemon. Colourless don't often see that much play, and I can't think of a time where I've actually battled a full colourless deck. They're usually just teched in or quite helpful to have along because they usually only take colourless energies. Then it has 1 attack, 1 GX as you'd expect. For 3 colourless you've got Prismatic Burst, 10 plus damage, discard all psychic energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 60 more damage for each energy discarded in this way. So if you, instead of those 3 colourless, you've got 3 psychics, that could be doing 190. If you've got 4, that would take out almost every GX. So that, not too shabby, it just takes a lot to get it going. Then for 3 colourless, you've got Black Ray GX. This attack does 100 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon EX and Pokemon GX. That's all of them, absolutely every single one. So if they're running a full, they've got 1 in the active, they've got 5 on the bench, that's doing 600, 100 to each of them, which is quite a lot. If they're running a Shaman before it rotates out, that'll just take 10 more damage. It's not too shabby, that'll put most GXs and EXs down to about half of their normal health, so it's very useful. You can do this after a couple of turns if you run like Decidueye, along those lines. Then Noivern GX, which is possibly going to be a little bit broken for like a fortnight before the double dragon energy rotates out. 200 HP, stage 1, on the lower end of the stage 1s. For 1 dark, 1 colourless, you've got Distort 50 damage during your opponent's next turn. Your opponent can't play any item cards from their hand. So for 1 dragon, double dragon energy, you pretty much get to item lock them, much like the Seismitoad that either rotated out or is being rotated out, did very much the same thing. Then for 1 Psychic, 1 dark, 1 colourless, you've got Sonic Volume, 120 damage. During your opponent's next turn, your opponent can't play any special energy cards from their hand, which can be quite useful, especially if they're running decks that very much rely on DCEs. Rainbow Energies, Warped Energies are coming back in one of the upcoming sets. I think it might be Shining Legends. Then for the same amount of energy, you've got Boom Burst GX. This attack does 50 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Again, I think we've seen a GX attack very much like this. I forget which one it was on, but it's not too shabby. Can help, especially if they're setting up and they've got basic Pokemon just of 50, 60, 70 HP. This will put them close to knocked out. So if you're running this with things like Decidueyes, you can always just pick off some of those basic Pokemon that have got 50, 60, 70 HP. And third from last, we have Salazzle GX, 200 HP. Again, stage 1, on the slightly lower side. You can expect between 200 to maybe 230 for this stage 1. For 2-5, you've got Diabolical Claws, 50 times damage. This attack does 50 damage times the number of prize cards you've already taken. This is very good for the late game. Salazzle GX is a late game winner. If you've taken 5 prize cards, this is doing 250 damage, and that's going to knock out the highest of GXs. That's going to take out Lunala, that's going to take out Machamp, that's going to take out everything for Metagross. That'll do 500 damage because it's weak to fire. Then for 2 more fire, you've got Heat Blast, 110 damage. This is just if you know it's still early in the game, you've not taken any prize cards, you've only taken 1 or 2, then this is a better one to go with. It does 110, which is a little bit more, and it's not too shabby. It's what you could expect from just 2 fire on a stage 1. Then 2 fire, you've got Queen's Haze GX. Discard all energy from your opponent's active Pokemon, which can be quite good, especially if they're running something along the lines of a Charizard, in which the energies are necessary and it needs to pile on a lot of energies, or something like they're going full on attack type Ukulele, they've got maybe 3 DCEs and some other random energies. That'll just completely confuse them, completely stun them, and leave them baffled and helpless. Then another one we've seen before, Tapu Bulu GX. Won't go over it, as you'll no doubt have seen it, maybe have used it before. It's a normal, quite helpful one, but in this one we're getting the full art and the hyper rare, rainbow rare, whatever you wish to call it. Last up is Tapu Fini GX, 170 HP. For 1 colourless, you have Aqua Ring, 20 damage. You may switch this Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. Again, could be useful slightly tactically. This one isn't the best GX, it's not getting that much hype that I can see anyway. Then for 2 water, 1 colourless, you've got Hydro Shot. Discard 2 water energy attached to this Pokemon. Do 120 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Any of them, could be one of the benched ones. If it's Shaman before that's rotated out, this is going to knock that out. It can be quite useful just sniping at the bench. Then you know the treat it out, you use Aqua Ring next turn, attach some more water, use water patches, do as much as possible. I think there's also a Pokemon coming, it might be Manaphy, or I forget which one it is. I think there might be one in Shining Legends or Crimson Invasion that's suspected to be, it attaches water, kind of like the Gardevoir that was mentioned earlier in this video. Then for 1 water, Tapu Storm GX. Shuffle your opponent's active Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your opponent's deck. If this opponent has no bench Pokemon, this attack fails. So this one it doesn't knock anything out, it just really delays them. If they're running something along the lines of a Charizard GX, you've only got one water and they're getting pretty close to having full energies, maybe the Kiawe last turn. This will just put all of them, the Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, all of the energies, maybe Choice Bands, whatever else they're running, into the deck. Not too shabby, could be quite useful, it will help stall the other player. But there we go, that's the last video, and that is all of the GXs that will be in the Burning Shadows set. Let me know what you think, let me know what you're excited for. I'm personally very excited for the Alolan Muck, but I would not turn my nose up at one of those Rainbow Rare Charizards. But thank you very much for watching, and how do, Mime Artists?
Eggs! Eggs! E-double-G-S eggs!